Pile 2, what am I channeling? How do men view you? They feel like you've been through a lot. They feel like you've been overlooked. You've been ignored. They feel like you've been in hostile environments. They feel like, you know how men go, if she wouldn't have fell in love with that type of man, she wouldn't have got that kind of outcome. I feel like you got hoodwinked. That's how men view you. I feel like they feel like you're very, very beautiful, very, very nice, gullible, naive. Bisexual women could be in this pile. You could have had to compromise to have a relationship. I can't do my own reading. I'm brutally honest. Just go to one. And I could be drawn to all 3 piles, or I'm normally drawn to 2 piles. Only take about 10% and say this shit don't belong to you. My left foot is burning. You could have had a hard time looking in the mirror and facing some truths about some bad relationships, or how men view you, or how family members, friends, or hostile environments in regards to like work environments. Hi, I'm gonna say hi, C. You know what I mean? You could be a free thinker, or you could be very, very deep. How men view you, so that could push men back because you could be perceived as one way. How men view you, you know, maybe they think you're naive. I hate to use the word dumb, stupid, or not really intelligent, or you know, or not as beautiful, or you know, because everybody don't have to be the standard of beauty. You could have an unconventional beauty. My right foot is burning, and then when they get to know you, they find you to be very fascinating, illuminating. You know what I mean? This something electrifying about you, how men view you. I think that some of you guys got some beautiful eyes, or some very sad eyes. You could have been very rebellious. I'm sorry. You could have dealt with some mental issues. You could have moved a lot. How men view you. They definitely feel like you're a good parent. They definitely feel like you're a good parent. Some of you guys didn't want to have any children. That's how men view you. You might not like to be tied down. How do men view you? Well, I'm hearing, is somebody Spanish or Mexican in this pile? How do men view you? Anything else? You know how something is hard on the outside and then it's mellow, soft on the inside? They could feel like that you have a hard core. But then when they get to know you, if you allow to let people in, right? This is how men view you. You don't have to be like love. It's just how they see you. Then they get to know you and they go, oh my God, you know, she's not as hard. And then they understand why you act the way you do. So let's see. How do men view you? If you were promiscuous, you know what I'm saying? Or here, ice princess, you know what I mean? Some of you guys, how they view you, that you could be very uptight, or your standards are very, very high, or you had set your standards very, very low, that you wasn't really, really balanced. If you were promiscuous, somebody could have been a streetwalker, prostitute, or you could have been very gullible, or you could have just been searching and wanting love from people, or all the wrong places, talk to people, places, and things. Somebody smoke cigarettes. I feel like men, once they get to know you, they find out why, right? Because people, you know, are very judgmental, and there's normally a backstory, right? Because psychopaths are born and social paths are made. So when you meet somebody that's a sociopath and you go, you know, why does she act like that? Or they, you know, destructive behavior, something like that. It's something that happened. You know, maybe they were molested, you know, raped, overlooked, black sheep, downtrodden, kicked, you know, mistreated, overlooked, alienated, ostracized, or didn't deal with some hurt, some pain, something like that. And so you operate out of that. I can see me operating out of that, you know, because I never shared with people that, you know, I got raped until maybe about 5 years ago, because I came back to North Carolina where it happened at, and I was like 19, and I'll never forget it. So now I'm very more vocal because of the Me Too movement, right? People would never know that, right? And it was actual, and it was devastating, and I realized I operated out of that. So you go, I didn't know that. My kids knew that, right? You know what I'm saying? And I remember I was working in this school as substitute teacher periodically, and I told this lady, I said, nobody can never guess, you know, and I said it was a mega church, and she guessed the person's name. I didn't even have to, I swear on my life, I didn't even have to tell her. She said, actually, he's been accused of it, right? And she told me he takes over the church now, right? But I forgave the man. So it was funny. I didn't even have to say, because she's from that area. I was like, it was in this area. She's like, oh, definitely, right? So that gave me my confirmation. So I'm saying that to say, because remember, everything in a reading, channeling, meaning maybe people looked at you a certain way, and then you end up being people's karma, or you get your karma later. You get what I'm saying? Like they get with you. They don't need to mess with, this is what men, how they view you. Don't mess with the people, the women, and whether you're young or older or elderly, because you end up getting your karma, or you end up being other people's karma. So how do men view you? And maybe they don't believe what you say at first, and maybe they have this preconceived notion, because I think men see you that way too. Now, a lot of men don't fall in love with you at first. They like you and they're attracted to you, but hindsight, like after you leave their life, the energy, then they realize how, you know, they love you, or a good person, or maybe they called you crazy, I'm sorry, or, you know, maybe hard or harsh or whatever, or rude or cold or distant or alien, or ice princess, or overly sexual, or don't have sex at all. But when they get to know you, they realize how men view you, that, oh my gosh, why did I treat her like that? There's a story behind it, where one was more intentional, calculating, methodical, sneaky, reinventing themselves, and very illusion type women. And I say that to say, not talking about the women, but if it's a reflection of 8 billion people in the world, there's women who are neglectful, or cunning, or slick, or gossipy, or backstabbers. They can be boss bees, they can be successful, they can be homeless, they can be middle class, they can be attractive, they can be not attractive, ugly, whatever, how you want to say it. But there are women like that, right? And men see that, right? And men talk about those kind of women, whatever their hidden agenda or motivation is. And so that's how men see you. They could feel like you're like that. And then when they get to know you, they go, there's nothing like that, right? And I could be wrong. You're going to let me know? You're not going to let me know that. That's channeling. I'm a conduit for... All right, look, that lady that's a medium, I forgot, where's the blonde hair to go up, this from New York, she does the same thing, right? She don't need cars, she can just tell you what she hears. She's a conduit for the spiritual world. That's what I do. I could have did it years ago as a young girl, but you remember Christianity was at the forefront, or, you know, whatever, and it was a taboo. Now people are walking into their own unconventional lifestyle, not trying to be in the norm, and they're trying to be themselves. Somebody's young, somebody can sing, you want to go, you want to explore, you want to live your own life, you want to come from up under that norm, you want to be unorthodox, you want to be your own self, you have your own unconventional looks too. And then this is this type of power, and that's how men see. They've always seen you different, but you try to fit, how you say, put something in a square peg, you try to fit, and you were never a person that fit. You were always somebody that need to be set free. So how do men see you? And I could be wrong. Let's kick these cards. Women get a little bit longer reading. And all women aren't sensitive or whatever. This is my sensitive pal, though. I feel like this is my emotional pal. So that's how, and it's sad. I just want to stop and recognize that, how men see you. Like it's always after. I'm just generalizing. You could not be like that. And they take you through a lot of ups and downs. Because you could be healers as women. How does men see women in power too? Sweetheart, what time is it, baby? You don't want me to say your name. Y'all could be mothers. Or aunts or something like that. I gotta take, I gotta eat at a certain time. Some of y'all could be on diets, always on diets, or very health conscious, something like that. Because I said that. And men see you like that. They could feel like you like to eat or overeat, or you're very health conscious, right? How does men see the women in power too? How does men see the women in power too? Help me get out of self-stubborn. How do men see the women in power too? Hard to understand. Chameleons. How does men see the women in power too? Why do I feel like... And bingo, what's his name? Oh, soulmate. I told you after, right? Because I'm channeling. This is a good card. This used to be the original twin flame card. So a twin flame card is something that's divinely ordered. Just think of holiness, supernatural, and Jesus, and the Muhammad, and the spirits, and spirit guide, and the angels, and you know what I mean? Something, but holy, or whatever. Because people go, well, Jesus is different, but it's still spiritual. To atheists, they all did, right? They don't believe in it. So they just think of something spiritual, divinely ordered. Your ancestors who's passed on, or the ancients, or like I said, spiritual guys or angels. They want you two to be together. So how do men view you? That you the whole prize, girl. You're going to bring your A game. They're going to bring their A game, that you can push him to be the best person that he can be. You're encouraging, you're supporting, you can build together. You don't tear him down. This is the 4 of Wands, right? Maybe you're going to reconcile with this person. And this is a reconciliation card. So maybe it doesn't flow when you get with men. They realize that. Maybe they've done something to you in destructive behaviors, vices, addictions. My right foot has burned something. And then you break up, or you don't get together right away, or don't flow easy or something like that. Or you married, or you divorced him or something like that, but you eventually get back together. It's a free will, right? Everything is a free will. You don't have to. But the spiritual world is saying these 2 people should be together. This is the 6 of Cups is divinely ordered because they have a purpose. But this man or woman, it don't matter, because it's how men view you, because you could be a part of a bisexual, you could be, lesbian now, I don't know, pansexual, and maybe you dealt with men, but how they view you is that you're a good woman, that you are the perfect mate for them. Look this card up, 4 of Wands. That's good, right? Reunion, celebration. You probably get along with children and animals and their friends and all that. And if you didn't, the people could have the issue with you and not you. Why I say that? Because this is a good card, right? So how do men view you? So far they view you good, very illuminating, kind, nice. Kind of nice is 2 different words. Could be very kind. Anything else? Somebody could be disabled. I see a bad leg. Could have a learning disability. You could have autistic children. You could have a child part of LGBTQ. They feel like you're very tolerant. They're fun. Very, very fun. Very, very uplifting. How do men view you? So far it's good. That's how men view you. Yeah. Didn't I like 2 women? Maybe some of you guys aren't sure of your sexuality, or you are experimental, or you used to live that lifestyle. Like you could have been married and now you and your ex-men that you dealt with, or husband, something like that, y'all friends now. Like I feel like this is the cordial pal. Like some people feel like once you break up, you gotta not be friends or whatever. And then some people are like Tia Moray. I don't own the rights to her. And Corey Hardick, they're very cordial because they want their children to have a more productive and healthy lifestyle. They don't want to fit the norm of we got to hate each other and we don't have to love each other. So it don't have to be a part of the LGBTQ. You could have that type of demeanor, that persona, that that we're still friends, right? And maybe even after y'all wasn't friends, but then maybe 10, 20 years later or 2 months later, they still feel like you're the one that got away, because this is a good a good woman, right? I don't care if you're young, middle age, or elderly. Sorry, y'all. How do men see that? How do men heavy burden, perseverance, overwhelmed at times. You take your heart gets heavy, your shoulders are wide, but it gets heavy. You have a lot of stuff on you. How do men view you? They told me to give you the meaning of this card, but we all learn them different ways. Like it's thousands of different interpretations, but this is the 9, 10 of Wands. I can't think. 9 of Wands, you have to count on rods, wands, stuff. But you could be very sexual type people, very attractive women. But you could have had a lot of hard times, a lot of hard times. So picture yourself in the dark ages when they didn't have the welfare system, or they didn't have police officers and stuff like that. Plus they didn't have no lights, and he's just trying to get in, and he's hungry, and just put him with some children, or his mother, or his nieces and nephews, or something like that. Put her. Right, it's her, and I got to get in. So they feel like you have this resilient, you're strong, you have this inner strength. You're gonna push through, because you could get sodomized, you could get raped, you could get molested. You want to feed your kids. They're hungry. You're trying to keep them together. Maybe you got 1, maybe you got 10. It don't matter. But they feel like no matter what goes on with women in power too, you're still gonna push forward. People can knock you down. You're still gonna get up. This is my right foot is burning. A lot of people don't like that. This is the power where you can't hold a good woman down. I wouldn't be surprised if you came here thousands of times and reincarnated, and they still can't hold you down, pal, too. This is that pal. And that's how men look at you. First, they admire you, they respect you. Once they understand who you are, right, that you push through, right? Look at a lot of Wands. Wands talks about business and enterprise and lust and temptation and desire. I think a lot of men find you very desirable. I don't care if you got look like Cyclops, 1 toe. They think that toe is so sexy. Something about you. Some of you guys are aging great. You go, yeah, I know. Some of you got nice skin, nice teeth, great hygiene. You know what I'm saying? And if you did fall off, You know, why did I say that? I normally don't say that. Not for women. If you did fall off, they know it was some kind of reason, right? Maybe you got an STD. Maybe you weren't eating healthy. Maybe you weren't drinking a lot of water. It's isolated. It's for somebody. You get what I'm saying? But they know that you weren't at your best, right? This is some mental health thing in this pile too. Sorry, I have to say that. Pile 2. How do men see you? And I could be wrong. I thought I seen a devil card. Yeah, you could be obsessive, or they could feel like y'all have this strong attraction to each other, right? You don't have to pull the card. Like, you know, you're obsessed and they're obsessed with each other. Or if it's not obsession and possessiveness or some envy or some jealousy or something like that, how men view you, or you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to be possessive. At the end of the day, I put myself in it so people don't get upset, right? In all the pals, so, you know, you understand, so I can relate. They feel like, you know, I'm addicted to Terry. I'm addicted to these women. You know what I'm saying? And y'all could go miles away across the ocean or whatever, but I still remember her. I still want her. I'm addicted. So that they could be addicted to you, your love, the way you talk, the way you stimulate their mind, your sex, you know, your conversation. They could like the things that you do, how you walk, something about you, or, you know, something. They have an addiction to you. Some of you guys could smoke, do drugs. You could be cool like that. Yeah. Anything else? You could get very angry, temperamental. I'm sorry, because I've seen that. You know what I mean? But you know what? These are the type of men, they think this cute. It's cute. They think it's cute, right? It's cute. Now I think when they cross the line, they know it's not cute. But I think you could be very spicy, hot-tempered, and they're like that. I keep seeing some Mexican chicks. Sorry, that's what I call women chicks, right? At the end of the day, yeah. You don't have to be. Yeah, they think you're the sun. They think you closed a lot of chapters in your life. And this is the temperament. You changed. You changed. So if you was, you know, raised in hell, or, you know, you was out there like that, or, you know, you dealt with low self-esteem, and, you know, you let people run over you and alienate you, ostracize you, or you were very, you know, whatever, the devil is big and bad enough to do, or whatever your dysfunctions was, you know, or your, this is the power you worked on your healing. It's a healing, me and my daughter's talking about, we talk about it all the time. It's a lifelong progression. It's not going to never be, you know, I'm fully healed, right? But I feel like you started. This is the temperaments card. So how they look at you, you know how metal goes through extreme pressures. I don't know how long. I just say millennials, millions of years, trillions of years. And then it gets that one little diamond. You became that diamond, right? You've been through a lot. You've been through a lot. You know, maybe you had pressure. You know what I'm saying? People put pressure on you. Maybe you put pressure on yourself. You could have been your own worst enemy, or people could have isolated you, had a lot of enemies, but you're very benevolent. Some of you could be holy. Some of you could be spiritual. Some of you could be just really good people. You've changed a lot, and men see that in you. This is a temperaments card. So, you know, did you change, Kyle, too? Yeah, you changed. If you had some destructive behaviors, I know I had. I know I operated out a lot of mental health and emotional. I'm emotional. You know, crying, mad, angry. You know, some of you guys could be emotional. You don't have to be. You could be physical. You know what I mean? Or you could isolate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Combative, oppositional, rebellious. I just can name things. Or you dealt with some, you know, some breakdowns, or you moved a lot. You didn't have stability, or you were scared to move, or you were caught up in people's what they consider a normal way of doing it, society, but you wanted to break free of that. But if you changed, you walked into your true authenticity. This is the patient card, the temperance card, right? You've learned some wisdom, right? You changed a lot. The sun is the best card in the deck. It doesn't have to flip, right? You could be very kind, very happy, very positive, optimistic people, very animated, very loving. People like to see you come around. Look at that. If you had some karma, you know, this talks about how karma goes to the side and say, you know, I'm not going to let Terry go through that because she's been through enough. And, you know, because I've done some things that I'm not proud of. I've said some things that I'm not proud of. I made choices that I'm not proud of. I'm not going to compare my stuff to other people, but, you know, I let my kids, you know, suffer in silence. You know, I stayed in relationships and I prayed too long. So I have a lot of guilt. Those are choices that I made. Nobody had a gun to my head. You get what I'm saying? We didn't have like access like we do now, but I could have took initiative to break the toxic stinking thinking, you know, but somewhere in the universe said, you know what, I'm not going to let you look like what you've been through. I'm going to give you that joy. I'm going to give you that second blossom. And when I walk in a room, I just shine. I shift the atmosphere. And if they don't like it, I go to another side, or I just leave. You get what I'm saying? And that's how you are, your sun. Can't nothing move without the sun. Can't nothing grow without the sun. If you had a nuclear war and it covered the sun, you can't survive. You got to grow. You got to have something to eat. You got to be able to see. And that's how these men view you, that you're the sun, you're optimistic. Now, were you always there? Of course not. You see the temperance card, right? How they view you, a lot of you got stabbed in the back. A lot of you got betrayed. A lot of you, how men view you. You experience a lot of psychological, emotional, physical, mental, verbal abuse, right? Betrayal. You know what I'm saying? When you're in a storm, you know what I'm saying? You're building in a storm, because that's that persistence. That's that pushing through. I see it. That's that pushing through, but you're still going through a storm. And then you come out of a storm, you go right back in another storm, some more shit, some on top of that. So that's how men view you, as very persistent. You know, women, you're going to figure it out. Yeah, you had some hard times. I want to stop and validate your pain, pal, too. I see you sitting in the car. I see you crying. I see you walking. I see you trying to feed yourself or feed your kids or take care of your responsibilities of your mother, your grandparents, or you're living in situations that you're not proud of, or you've been in situations that you're not proud of. You know, you live in situations, transportations, trying to get back to school, trying to eat. This is this type of power. Men see that, or people hurt you. You know, look, my right foot ain't stopped burning, it's itching too, and all the, you know, all kinds of dynamics. I don't know the positions, but they know. But there's these are transformation cards. You change. A aha moment, if you will, an epiphany, a revelation, something happened, an awakening. You change. You know, you took your power back. That's how men see you, and that's why they feel like this is my soulmate. Whether you never get with this person or not, they like, they might have missed the opportunity, or they might want to give you the opportunity, or you might be married now or in a relationship. The energy, men look at you like that. A lot of you guys are wounded warriors, meaning you've been through a lot. You had a lot of hurt. You had a lot of pain. You had to stop. You had to regroup. You had to refocus. You had to pivot. You had to go a different direction. You know, you had some battles that you won, and you had some battles that you lost. And the men know that, right? You know, these are the kind of women that, you know, you definitely got a story to tell. You had your share of hurts and pains and trials and tribulations and ups and downs. They know that. And for you to still be standing, as women, right? They admire that, and they're like, this kind of woman I want on my team. Give you one more. These cards. Tarot. How do men view you? How do men view you? As resilient, powerful, inner strength. They recognize that you have a lot of hurt and pain. And you know, like you say, you meet men and they don't know you. They don't know you. I seen that third party. I feel like a lot of stuff in your life has been complicated. I feel like you've been tested. So men know you've been tested. And I seen that 3 of Swords, and it drew out to me. So a lot of you guys, men, have put you in third party situations, willing or unwilling, intentional or unintentional. I feel like, so like if you meet a man and you didn't know he had a wife or a girlfriend, or say he's in a group with somebody and he been messing with this woman for a long time. I feel like they throw you in positions that you didn't ask to be in, and they realize that. Or you could have chose to be a third party, you know what I mean, messing with somebody's, you know, husband, you know, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Or you didn't choose, and you know, shit happened. Next thing you know, you're in love with somebody that's attached to somebody, whether they're married or in a relationship or something like that. So I see that, but those relationships have outlived their usefulness. And I think what men realize, or women in power too, maybe you go through a lot of that. I don't put time on it. It could be years, could be a couple months, but you free yourself from that, right? So if they want you to compromise yourself, maybe for a long time, or maybe they're considering, that's how the positions that they're going to put you in, they realize that they can't, after you make the connect, that you're not the one to play with. You're not trying to be in those situations unless you choose to be, right? How do men view, let me get your last card for this. How do men view the women in power too? And I could be wrong. They do some dirty, low down, it's my favorite stuff. Some dirty, low down shit, and then they come back and they want to get up under you and they appreciate you because they could idealize relationships. You get what I'm saying? Oh, she got kids, or she act a certain way, or something like that. These are the type of men I feel like you attract, that they allow other women, they extend grace. That's about the best way I can say it. Help me, angels, to them. But for you, you got to be perfect. You got to be perfect. You get what I'm saying? I can't use examples, and you're somebody going, yeah, but he'll get with somebody else, and then she might be totally different from you. Say you're a good cook, or you're a good cleaner, or you could be a plus size, but you keep yourself nice or something like that. They'll go be with the totally opposite. Or they could be, let's just use older women, because there's some older women, you know what I mean? They go get somebody young because she's beautiful and everything, and maybe that's all she got, you know what I'm saying? Because maybe she doesn't have a mind of her own. She's Christian because he's Christian. She's quoting the Bible because he's quoting the Bible. She doesn't really have a mind of her own, but you know what I'm saying? But he's really hard on you. Or you could be young, right? He messing with an older woman. He doesn't give you the opportunity because he feels like you're too young and you don't have a mind. I know how to man at 22, so I feel you, young women, because there's a lot of older women who could be jealous of you. I've seen that. I have daughters. So they see that too. Like they observe how people treat you and the things that you went through. Now, I'm going to do the Knights of Cups for you. How do they feel about you? Maybe they feel like you went out there and you experienced the world, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifference, and you came back and it humbled you. You know, on your journey, on your walk. A lot of y'all did stuff that you was being bad enough to do. A lot of y'all avoided stuff. You could have been runners. You could have been runners and been out there, and they realized that. But they also realized you took an opportunity, whether it's enterprise, business, reinventing yourself, regrouping, digging up the weeds, cultivating new beginnings for yourself. This is the power. You probably say, I used to do that. I used to do this, or I used to look this way, I used to look that, I used to be 1,000 pounds, now I'm 130, I used to live over here, I used to live over there, I went back to school, or I got my TEF, you know, teaching English, second language, or, you know, I got my degrees, or I didn't get a degree, you know, I got my own business, entrepreneur, or I got a YouTube channel. So this is the power. You reinvent yourself a lot because this is the Ace of Pentacles. So, you know, so that's what they realized about you. I heard them say one more. Yeah, you know how to push yourself. Even if you're in a slump, because some women go, I'm in a slump. We're talking energy. It's your last card for tarot. You're the marriage kind, right? One got this too. At the end of the day, well, you had the Four of Wands. They love you. This is long term. When a man falls in love with you, they love you. They want to marry you. They want to be with you long term. Marriage symbolism doesn't have to be marriage. They don't believe in marriage, right? It could be just committed, you know, get to know you. You know what I'm saying? They have a true interest in you, and the feelings are mutual. So they look at you like that. You know what I mean? That you're that person that they could be with long term, right? And get your last card. How do they look? I can't see the time. How do they look at, how do they view women in power too? And I could be wrong. You've been through a lot. So I don't want women to think that you haven't been through a lot. You've been fussing and arguing. Some of you been physically abusive. Men have been physically abusive to you. Maybe you hit back too. You know what I'm saying? But they know that it came from, oh, that's sad. Two things. This came upside down or this way. I can read it either way. They don't recognize your achievement, your worth. They don't see you as a benefit in their life. They could see you as more of a curse instead of a blessing. They could overlook you and treat everybody else better, whether it's friends, family, if you come around, because we're talking about how men view you, whether it's love relationships or whatever. It could be your uncle, because we're talking about how men view you, right? But they realize, and go this way, that they recognize after. This is the power that's after your accomplishments, your talents, your achievements, your struggle. I hate struggle stories. I want my kids to, when they're creating generational wealth for, I don't want grandkids, that's another story, but if they, but that's their bodies. If they happen to have kids, I don't want them to have struggle stories. I'm like Chris Rock. I want my kids to have the best that they can have, right? You know, because at the end of the day, and this is I'm black. We came from kings and queens and royal lineages. You get what I'm saying? And I have Native American in me too. And them people weren't humble. They didn't bow down, right? What king and emperor bows down? And I want my kids to have that type of energy. And it's funny because maybe men look at you that they don't realize that you go there. Like me and my girlfriend, we always talk about that. When we get together, or sometimes we talk on the phone. We both be busy, and we schedule it though. You get what I'm saying? But how we're deep thinkers. So I'm saying that you could be a deep thinker, and then they recognize that not only are you physically beautiful, but you have beauty brains. You know what I'm saying? And you go there because a lot of people think because you're beautiful or you're attractive, you got the it that you don't have a brain, or something has to be wrong, or something like that. But the men starting to recognize your worth, right? Somebody sew. I'm hearing somebody sew. Seamstress, something like that. Yeah. So they recognize your worth after. So that's how men view you. Yeah, and that you can tame them, right? Because if you dealing with men who operate out their ego, you see how she taming that lion. Like, you are not a joke. You have this inner strength, this passion, or y'all have this passionate type of draw toward men, and they feel very passionate about you. And then you see that lion, so they know that you can humble them and bring that ego down. Bring that ego down, right? And some of you guys could be virgins, or you could be very innocent-like. Whatever, how men see you, that's how they see you. You know what I mean? You innocent. You get what I'm saying? And they that's how they see you, that you know. that you're innocent like, and or even if you were not innocent, you still have that feminine, because that's divine. I don't want to miss that. That's divine feminine, that feminine energy, very caring, loving, you know, compassionate, empathetic. But then you could also be the lion too. You could walk into your masculine. I can lead, honey. I can go to work. I can set me some goals. I can be I'm confident, very confident. You know what I mean? I give wise counsel. I'm mentally stable. Like you could be both in this card. They could look at you that way, like, because I don't want to read it one way, that you can be both. You can be masculine energy and feminine energy, and it's very well balanced. That's a compliment, pal, too. Okay, good. How do men view the women in pal, too? And I could be wrong. You gonna let me know? You're not gonna let me know that. How do men view the women in pal, too? I don't know what time it is. Stubborn. You could be, I can't hear Cancer, but you could be, a Cancer could be looking at you, Leo, something like that, Sagittarius, or you could be, but I'm hearing a lot of earth signs in here too. Very central. How do men view women in pal too? Some of y'all get psychics and seers. That's my sword of truth. One got that too. So that means whatever I'm saying in a reading, from whoever my sources is saying this is sword of truth, right? And when is this that you have a game plan? You could always be reinventing yourself. You've been through trials. You take action. You're very intellectual, and you get to the real issues. Like you unveiling bullshit. You ain't got time for all that fluff. And maybe, like I said, it's a snail pace. I always say, this is my always say, a snail pace, a turtle pace, or a rabbit pace. And whenever your estimated time of arrival, you're going to get there. So if you was dealing with fantasy and, you know, and not reality, and you weren't very grounded as a woman, you learned to be, get out of suspended reality and shit. You learn to be more grounded and face reality. Like, this relationship ain't working, or these people don't want me to be around, or something like that, because those are two hands. One is a zombie, one's a regular. And so men see that with you. Like, they can't bring that bullshit to you because you unveil that bullshit. So that's how men see you, right? Some of you guys could be very spicy, very opinionated. You could be an activist. You could defend people. You could defend yourself very well. You can handle yourself. Some of you guys are very physical. Yeah. How do men see you? Very intellectual. You can hold your own. That is faded, that y'all faded to be together. Look at that. Faded. You got this twice, that you could be a very complicated person. They always say, you know, there's so much more to me, you know. I don't come with a manual, right? You've been tested. You've been tested. You read these cards in different ways. You had a lot of heavy burdens. You know, people have talked about you, hurt you, alienated you, ostracized you, gossip. I hear a lot of gossip. You had to stand your ground. You had to push people back, right? Because that's the 7 of Wands. I can see that. Yeah, burdens, struggles. You had a lot of struggles. Oh, 10 of Wands. Overwhelmed responsibility. You had that twice. That's that man pushing through that I told you the story about. But you took a new path, a new direction will be revealed. Cycles in, a lot of cycles in, a lot of things, chapters in your life closed. That's how men view you. That, you know, stuff got tough. It got tough. It got hard. It got, you know, a lot of trials and tribulations, ups and downs, you know, a lot of being overwhelmed. Sometimes you felt like it was a no-win situation. Victimization. You could have been a victim. You know, a lack of action. Sometimes you didn't even have a direction to go. This is the power where men know you could have lost yourself. I know I did. I didn't know who Terry was. I'm trying to live up to everybody else's expectations and religious beliefs and doctrines and do all this. And then once I removed myself, I got to know who I am. I love who I am. I'm not going back, right? I'm not going back. You know what I'm saying? And if I wasn't spiritual, you know, my son is agnostic. You know, he believes and then he don't believe. You know, I could truly be agnostic. I could be atheist. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm not, I do what I want to do. I don't like organized religion. I don't like people telling me what I want to do. And I like to know the roots. You know what I'm saying? Why aren't people reading the Ethiopian Bible? Why aren't people going back further and further where the story has been told by so many different other cultures, right? Why aren't those validated? They came first. That's where I'm at, right? Why are we so easy to look at the canon and say, this is it? See, I'm a person, I'm going to challenge you, I'm going to ask questions. Everything that they say I can't do, I'm going to do. And I say that to say, justifying my behavior, because I could be rebellious, is because they said that everything black was negative, and I'm black, and I'm not negative. And you get what I'm saying? And so if everything is black is negative, then you would think that everybody black is negative, or the color black. And so I challenge people, and I'm saying that to say, because that's how men see you. Maybe you challenge the status. You challenge the status quo, you know, or what's considered the norm. You could be very non-conformal, conformist type women, and they feel like it's fated. This is fated again. It's fated to be together. Fate, destiny, luck. Yeah. Somebody, celebrity looking in. Somebody has a celebrity that's interested in you. Let me get your last card. How does faded and Wheel of Fortune talks about life. It's a life card, like circles, you know, going up and down and things that you've been through and opportunities won, opportunities lost, cardam diem, seizing the moment. You go ahead and take it, or you missed out or got overlooked, or you know, had good relationships, had bad, like you've been through a lot. They know that. If you meet men, or you're in a relationship with a man now and he doesn't understand that, you have men who do see you that way, that, you know, don't be so hard on those women that choose part two, because they've been through a lot, right? Anything else? How do men view you? Some of you take care of your mother. I see a chronic mother, or what is that? Something by proxy, I can't think right now. Like she's always wanting some attention, or she's always acting like she's sick or something like that. You could be a very responsible person. Yeah, I don't know why. That's just isolated, right? They see that. They see you go above and beyond, and then you could get slighted. You could get slighted, like you do a lot. It could be sibling rivalry, it could be cousin rivalry, it could be ostracized. I see a lot of alienation, and they don't recognize that. But I think the men view that, they see it. You ever see men see what's going on, like how other women treat other women, but they don't say anything? This is the kind of men that how they view you. They see it, and then they could play into it. They could treat you the same way. Chariot, that you move forward, and what's this? Six of Hazard. Did I say that? Six of Hazard, right? Somebody could be a Cancer. You could be a Cancer. Look at that. Somebody, you see the casket. They know that you dealt with bereavement and some loss or something like that. It could be an animal. It could be a human being. You know that you had to fight your way. You had to push through. You're in a progression. You know, maybe you travel a lot. If you didn't, you're learning to travel and expose yourself to different people, places, and things. And if this is the original card, it's the yin and the yang, and the male and the female, and the masculine and the feminine. So you're very balanced. But you had to push. You had to move away. You had to fight. You see how he's fighting in that, forgot that car, how he's pushing away from people. So maybe you had to walk away from people to be able to stand your own ground, but you keep moving forward. It's Chariot. You keep moving forward. You keep, see, I'm a Taurus, Cancer, Taurus. That's what you're dealing with, right? You got to know your chart. But I got a Cancer moon, right? So I can definitely be emotional. And I was telling Twitter, I was watching, reading a thing, it's probably about 8 years ago. The FBI said that the people who are serial killers and or the top 5 was the Cancer was 5 because for prison or whatever, for bad behavior. Cancers are emotional, so a lot of people in prison are for love, right? Snapped, right? Cancer. Second was Aries, they were serial killers. Third was Taurus. There I go at top 3 serial killers, 2 in a row. And Sagittarius, my daughter laughed. Money laundering. I remember them all. They love that, right? So that's what you're dealing with, right? You know what I'm saying? I got that other side, and especially if you mess with my kids. It's over. It's a wrap. You get what I'm saying? You could talk about them and put your hand on them because I love them. So you push forward, right? You get what I'm saying? This is the whole essence. People have dangled you, mistreated you. They're users, they're takers, and you're givers. And you wanted harmony, peace, and balance. And you've been around a lot of energy vampires, and that's what they realized about you. And it wasn't fair. They were looking out for their own interests. I don't care if it was family, friends, work environments, or whatever. Or they wanted you to buy their allegiance, buy their love, or something like that. And that's how men view you. That it wasn't always fair, right? This is not the original, but you see he dangling that meat, and you could have been naive, right? You could have been naive and gullible, but you got your voice back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe now you lead now, and they have to follow, or maybe you remove because the Chariot card. Maybe you don't care. I don't care. I hope they all be rich and look great for the rest of their life. Just leave me alone. You could have moved on, right? And so these men, how they view you is that you don't have time for fluff. Let me see the last card. Yeah, Page of Swords. They know people are spying on you or nosy, or they play both sides, or they go back and forth. They're nice to you, and then they're nice to other people, but they have a hidden agenda. So they know that people could dog you and play you and pretend to be, your friend or something like that, your family or something like that. And you could be stubborn, headstrong. Yeah, you're very inquisitive. You ask a lot of questions. You see that? I channeled that. You're inquisitive and ask a lot of questions. And you like to get to the facts. I'm going to unveil this bullshit, what actually is really going on. All right, pal, too. That's how men view you.